And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. In today's episode, our big story today is there is no story. There's nothing. Tarkov's dead. There's no wipe happening. It's canceled. Christmas is not coming. No, but seriously.
No events either?
No events. You know what? With our luck, it's probably going to be like they're going to be posting the event right now and it's going to go live. It's happened like twice now since we've been doing these.
Like right in the middle of the cast or something.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's it, right? There's nothing happening. We're waiting for white. We're in the holding pattern. Even nice guys just like, dunno, We've got Did you actually this is an interesting one to just start it off with. Have you like thrown your hat into the ring with Tarkov Reporter on Twitter yet?
I did. So
I think he closed it. What did you guess?
I guessed January 8th.
January the 8th.
I know. I'm going all in. And here's why. Okay. Here's why.
Dude, that is bold. That sounds like an amazing YouTube title, by the way. The wipe's January the 8th, and here's why.
Quick, write it down.
Yeah.
I went with the 8th because it was a random guess. Because Russian Orthodox Christmas on the 7th, which is a Sunday. Okay. Right. So if I'm BSG and we've been working our asses off, I want to give something nice to the team, have them like get some time off so they get that weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday to celebrate Christmas with their family, assuming they, I don't know how big Christmas is in Russia. I mean, obviously it's Orthodox within the Russian Orthodox Catholic Christian religion, whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly, like, I think it's maybe the majority. I don't know. I don't know about that part of the world. But anywho, assume that's the case in the scenario. Then that gives them Monday to drop the patch, to do all the hot fixes on day one, to go throw water on the servers that are on fire. It just like, because I don't think they're going to do it on Christmas here in the western part of the world, because last time they did that, a lot of people were really pissed. And so it's like, but the counter argument to that is, well, they would do it there because then the servers won't be on fire because people will be celebrating their thing. And it's like, well, when you think about that, it's like, on one hand, would you rather not play the game and have the servers working fine, but you can't play the game? Or would you rather play the game and have the servers on fire? Like, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, there's no good answer if you're BSG in that mind. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I completely lost Giga. Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I really don't know.
Okay.
I think because like it has to be this year. Surely it has to be.
Yeah. I just don't know.
I just have January off the table completely.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's just my gamble. 1 in a million shot. Yeah.
Because nobody can know, right? Nobody can know. I mean, I went really, really soon. I went like the 20th because I was like, maybe it's a weekend event, and then Monday is like everything's a ruble, and then boom, 20th, because it's like far enough before Christmas to get some play in, but then people are like maybe off on break, whatever. It's kind of like a combination of what you said about the server stability, but it gives people a chance to kind of play on day 1 or 2, and then it's sort of the player base maybe staggers itself around Christmas. Like some people play on it, some people after, some people depending on when they've got family commitments, whatever. But I mean, I have no idea either. Somebody asked me in in my Discord as well, just like, oh, why did you think that? And I was just like, I made it up, Like, who knows? Because it could well be the week after that, or even as you say, it could be January. Who knows?
I think it's most likely going to be in between Christmas and Russian, like Western Christmas and Eastern Christmas. So in between the 25th and in between January 7th.
Like a New Year wipe or something.
Yeah,
like
the calendar's a little weird on that, because that would give you like, I mean, you could do it on Christmas week because that's a Sunday, like 25th is a Sunday, so you could do it there, and it's a 2-week window basically. So, and if you go by, him claiming that they're going to release Streets by the end of the year, then it should be after Christmas by all that logic, and not in January. Who knows, man?
Yeah, exactly.
I just don't know.
Exactly. The only thing, so I actually forgot I actually forgot to mention this before. It just slipped my mind basically when we were talking before, because we were literally just talking before about like what's happened. Has anything happened? And you said, oh, like nothing happened. There's no events or anything like that. I literally just read on Twitter like a minute before coming downstairs and like starting like logging in or whatever, that apparently, right, and this is like kind of like it's sort of verified. Like it seems verified now. It seems like there's gonna be Twitch drops.
Yeah.
And I've seen random people say this, like Nixia, Ash, Axel has said it was confirmed with BSG, but I've not seen any official news on this. So I don't really know. Apparently, like Axel says, got confirmation from Dimitri. Tarkov Twitch drops are confirmed for the new year. Dates are not confirmed. They'll be posted later. I mean, this is like 49 minutes ago as of like the time of this recording. So I mean, who knows? But presumably, you're not going to have Twitch drops before the wipe, right?
That's the thing, right? That's the thing. When is does it just say January? Is that the source, or is there a specific date?
Well, I don't freaking know. Let's see. What did Nick say? So she said, I can spell her name right. So hers was the first one that I saw actually, and she said drops confirmed. I think she seemed to have like posted something and then deleted it. She said
that's what I heard as well.
Confirmed. Because somebody said, what happened to this tweet? And like screenshotted it. So you can still see. She said, Tarkov drops confirmed December 29th to January the 7th, Poggies. And then it seems to have been replaced with drops confirmed end of December, Poggies. And then you've got, oh God, where's it gone now?
The plot thickens.
I think Ash has posted something which has got a graphic even. I guess he just quickly whipped it up, I suppose. It says, Tarkov Twitch drops are returning. Wonder who's on the list with the eyes. And then Axel's one saying, got confirmation from Dimitri. Tarkov Twitch drops confirmed for the new year. Dates are not confirmed. Dates will be posted later this week. That's about an hour ago.
Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like Twitch drops are confirmed for the new year. So that like I guess that's in January. That's what they did last time.
Yeah,
which would mean that the wipe would be before then. But I mean, that doesn't preclude an 8th of January, and then it's like mid-Jan. Like we don't know. We don't know.
There's just no way they're not doing a wipe and then doing drops.
No, of course.
Like that's just not good business.
That's not even remotely feasible.
Yeah. So exactly. That gives us a little bit better of an idea, potentially.
A bit. Maybe it gives us an idea that we're framed within where we thought we were framed.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of. It's like now to the 8th of January, as you were saying, sort of. But I don't know. I think, I mean, reading into everything, it does sound like it'll be around New Year or like towards the end of the year. I'm not sure, but it could be anywhere between the 20th and the 31st. Realistically, while still being framed by the parameters that have been set, right? Like if Nikita said first iteration of Streets is going to come out this year, we know it's going to be a wipe. That only gives us from now until the 31st. It's probably, it's very unlikely to be like this weekend because we haven't had any events. We have another 1 ruble event. They could go against everything that they've done ever before and just wipe randomly, but I think it's unlikely. So we should still see 2 to 3 days worth of events, 1 day of everything being really cheap, and then the wipe, I would guess. So that kind of means that it's going to be at least the 20th. Like 20th is like really on the borderline now. And then could be 22nd, 27th, 29th, I think is kind of the favored dates. But it could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. Who knows? It's fun to speculate.
I feel like Nikita just wants to troll like the hardest he's ever trolled before, you know? He's going to wait till like the last minute. It's like December 30th, 11:59. The patch drops, or whatever. The drops, maybe like drops day 1 happens and there's no wipe and people are just like, what the heck's going on? The next day it wipes, or so like it.
So all the people at day 1 are playing like end wipe, Oh, can you imagine? That'd be like the most lackluster wipe, like
drops.
Lackluster drops ever. Yeah. Can you imagine playing late
so
wipe
weird?
Drop? Yeah. And then people are just like, oh, I don't need the free items, so like no one shows up. Like it'd be so weird. That's why it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
it wouldn't make sense. But I think Tweak needs to get his little skit that he did last time back out. There's the one where he plays all the characters. He plays like Dimitri, he plays Nikita with the and the devs as well. It's about the wipe. It's very funny actually. I probably can't find it off the top of my head, but It's on his Twitter somewhere. And he posted it. I think it might even have been about 12/12 last year. I think it was around 12/12 last year. So if you go to December 2021, you could probably find his little skit about it. It's funny. You should repost it because it's very entertaining. Kind of just sums up the deal. But talking about Nikita and Nikita's love for trolling, I don't know whether everybody. I know that quite a few people don't use Twitter actually, and I know that I certainly didn't until I was starting to become serious about content creation, just because it's kind of necessary for Tarkov. It's good for info like that, but until I had a real need for it, I just never bothered using it. But anyway, Nikita's on Twitter. The last time in sort of the segments of when he was posting stuff was October the 6th, where he posted that hilarious like MS Paint drawing of the Escape from Tarkov like sort of front cover logo type of thing with like Sturman with the AK, which is pretty funny. And then he didn't post anything for ages. And the first post that we got was December the 5th. But he's basically just been posting a lot of things, a lot of random things. And people have been trying to sift through the nonsense to try and figure out what's going on. So I mean, it was more sensible to start with. Said like it's been a long time, okay. And then Chronicles of Rizzy is like the most exciting thing is only dev started in these videos, which is really cool. And then he posted up some voice lines, which in the background it says like Tagilla_fight_start and that kind of thing. And this is all on December the 5th. So those things are relatively self-explanatory. We've got his, I know the exact reason why I don't like Decembers for the last 10 years, which is like people are thinking, well, that means that the patch is going to be coming in December because that's why he doesn't like it, because it's always the crunch, blah, blah, blah. Then he pasted a random picture of Pikachu and two plectrums for a guitar, which is sort of where the evolution into madness kind of begins, I think. And I don't know. I guess we'll keep going through them. So he asked, how many wipes have you lived? Which is fine. Repost Yonka's video, which is still hands down one of the best Tarkov videos of all time. And then we start going in down the real rabbit hole of madness on December the 11th, where he just says, tequila, yes, 4 shots. Then we have, the path is dangerous indeed. Then we have, it makes me happy to know that you exist. And then Pesley asking whether he's been drinking, and he said no, but I will drink after the patch. Basically, or does he say I will drink after for sure, which is assuming the patch. And then the org, which is fine. And then if you choose one of two for a long time, then you don't need either the first or the second. This is the point where it starts to become really cryptic. And after this, it just like devolves into complete madness. Like people are now like reading into it like crazy, like usual, trying to figure out what it means. Some people saying that there's like lots of numbers referenced in the different posts. So what is even going on? Like, who am I at the moment is not important at all. What matters is who you are and why you are here. For someone who ensures survival, everything is different. We met for a reason. All events have meaning, and there were no accidents. And those two tweets are posted like 2 days apart.
He is going through some like fucking deep existential fucking not crisis, but like he's just like fucking taking the limitless pill.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. So then there's like 2 GL posts, and the last two, like there's one of a bag of coffee, buckwheat it is, and people like reading into the weight on it and stuff. And then he posted like some weird capybara meme thing. But going back to like the text, because it's actually in quotation marks as well. Some people were thinking that rather than being anything, he's just trying to troll the community or whatever. Some people are thinking that those are kind of Lightkeeper's lines. I think that's probably like feasible. Who am I at the moment is not important at all. They're Lightkeeper's like in-game lines.
Oh,
as a trader.
Okay. See, I thought these were quotes from some like famous person in history that I wasn't aware of.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I never actually looked it up. That's a very good point, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I just looked up one of them and it doesn't come up with anything. So
I think I did that as well, and it didn't come up with anything.
Okay, so I think that the prevailing theory seems to be that it's voice lines from somebody. Could be Lightkeeper, could be Zerachi. Who am I at the moment is not important at all. What matters is who you are and why you are here. Could be Lightkeeper. Someone who ensures survival. Everything that makes different sense. For a reason. All events have meaning. There were no accidents. Could be Lightkeeper.
Well, that makes more sense because these aren't like, they don't mean, they need like, there's missing context within these. It's like,
yeah.
So there's no way
Big time.
there's any quote here. But that makes sense. I could totally see these being, voice lines for something. This could be like a, like, how you go to an NPC and they give you their like intro. This is like, it's kind of what this gives off to me.
Yes, exactly. Other than that, I mean, it's very hard to read into it. Yeah, it's like the buckwheat one's quite funny. It's like 800 grams, and people are just like, is that like 800 hours? That means that it's going to be like 800 minutes whenever the white's coming. Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, it does look pretty funny. So it looks like he kind of cracked. It all started with the tequila post, and then everything just went like pretty nuts. But I think that maybe that's the one thing we can read in. And we saw the org tease, which was, I guess, the only piece of like noteworthy news. We kind of knew the org was coming anyway. Like
it's highly likely
it was going to be coming. Yeah, it was highly likely, and they posted it in there. I don't think. I mean, I put it in the video that I made. I don't think it's going to really change the meta particularly, but you can get a 42 round mag on this thing apparently.
Yeah, the big question there is, it's going to be a 3 slot or a 2 slot in your rig. If it's a 3 slot, then it's going to be like kind of bad in my opinion.
Yeah,
not very favorable.
And I think it probably will be. Just looking at the size.
Yeah, I think you're right. So
which will make it kind of tough. And then it depends on like what do they do with the magic stats on the org? Is this going to be a Scar style gun, or is this going to be an M4 style gun?
It would be interesting though, because what's the ergo on the 45 or the 40? Actually, you know what, 40 round.
Not that bad. It's like -7 normally. It's usually only 4 more than regulars.
Well, I just realized the M4s and MCX, they only use 40 rounders for their, not 60 mags. I don't know how else to describe it.
Which one? MCX?
And the M4s. I was thinking they're 45, but they're 40. So it's technically like 2 more. I'm thinking of I really like the AK one, the one that goes for the 545 AKs. It's 45, and it's like,
yeah,
and it's just like really good value for the stats you get in it. But
it's interesting for the AKs because 45 goes so much further because of the like 600 and 650 RPM, whereas on the MCX and the M4, for example, then you've got a 40 rounder on that, but you're at 800 RPM. So right. I think the way that it works out actually is that because 600 RPM and 800 RPM from like the AKM versus the M4 means that the 30 rounder in the AK, because the ratio is exactly the same, like 600 to 800 is exactly the same as 30 to 40 in a ratio sense. So the AK, if you fire a 40 rounder out of the M4 and a 30 rounder of the AKM, they both run out of bullets at the same time, which is kind of interesting. So you can have the same rate of, because there is something about rates of sort of sustain, right? Like you take a time to kill hit. It's like the UMP in some ways, right? You take a time to kill hit, but you gain accuracy, controllability, and that kind of thing. Right. And there's also, I mean, it's a bit like you see with the 45 Vector. There is some downside to having such a fast fire rate. Yeah. You could take it to you could take the argument to like its logical conclusion and say, okay, well, what happens if you had an infinite fire rate? Okay, well, it's actually basically the same as having a bolt action rifle. Interestingly, like it comes full circle. Like if you have like an infinite fire rate, when you click the button, all the rounds all go in one spot. So it's like having a bolty with the power of 30 rounds, which is kind of an interesting, like it's interestingly circular in that sense. Do you know what I mean? I've always found that kind of interesting. And so you'd argue, well, I'd probably rather not have an infinite fire rate. Like if I could have a vector with a 1,000 RPM or a vector with an infinite RPM, I don't know which. Like it's situational.
Well, like, do you also have infinite mags? Like,
well, no, it'd just be like the mag. It would be the mags you have now. That's the thing, right? It's like
so. It's just essentially. I see what you're saying. So essentially, it's just like a bolt of 1,000 or 30 bullets flying at a single. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which brings in the argument of like, how accurate are you? You know what I mean? Like the faster the gun shoots with like the vector, you taking 2 seconds to get on target, assuming you're firing during that phase, means you probably blew like 90% of your ammo. Whereas if you're shooting from a really slow gun and it takes you 2 seconds to get on target, you only blew like 10% of your ammo or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have this concept in Tarkov of the whole PMC controllability thing anyway. And so you actually fire less bullets by the time you get into kind of the stable pattern as well. Because that convergence sort of auto control thing is not dictated by the RPM.
Right.
It's not linked by it's not linked to the RPM, and so it is like high RPM weapons don't control faster, is what I mean. And
Yeah.
so having a high RPM, that's why the high RPM guns end up feeling like they suck so much. Like I was demonstrating this with chat the other day. We were talking about rebalancing guns and why guns should be rebalanced and why the recoil's kind of scuffed. And it's amazing if you take like an MP5 SD, which has 26 recoil or so, 30 recoil, and compare it to like a semi-meta. I mean, I think I had like I can't remember which version it was, but it was like a nearly there RD704. It's not that different. And the thing is, yeah, the RD has 600 RPM and the MP5 has 800 RPM.
800.
Sure, but like the actual pattern of the rounds is almost the same. And one's firing freaking 9mm and the other's firing 7.62 VP. You know, it was mental. So I was like, look, that just needs to change. You know, it's like either the RD is way too accurate or the MP5 needs to be even lower. The MP5 needs to almost be like a laser. And I think that would be a good balancing feature for 9mm in some ways. You know, it literally be like a laser beam.
To me, that's the classic archetype for SMGs is, yeah, they're a laser beam. They shoot really fast, but they do little damage. So why would you have a gun that does little damage and you can't control it? Like, it's hard to get shots on target. It just doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever use that?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's interesting. So I don't know where the org's going to fit into this.
Yeah,
meta, I don't really know because we've already got the AK-101. And I think it's going to be the 5.56 version. I mean, it looks like it from the
is there another version?
Does it say at the top? Apparently, there's a 9mm version. I didn't realize.
Oh yeah.
Apparently there is, but we've only seen stuff for the 5.56 one. I mean, the screenshot that Nikita showed has actually got a 5.56 compensator. It says
and it's
something Russian and then 5.56. So
yeah, it's most likely the 5.56.
Yeah. So
I mean, the only thing I could think might be like the redeeming factors. It could be like a high ergo gun because I think usually the Bullpups have like decent ergo.
That's true.
But then you're gonna run into the issue with you can't mod the stock. The classic Bullpup dilemma rises yet again to the top.
The classic Bullpup problem of the non-replaceable stock. Because they fixed it with the Scar, right? They fixed it with the Scar by not being able to change the stock and the G36, although there's two of them, so it is technically replaceable. But with the Scar, it's just like, here's the stock and here's the cheek pad and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But there's only one. So you never buy any new ones and it just comes with the gun. Okay, fine. And now the recoil makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like this is going to be, I don't know, like what's the alternatives for this? It's going to be good on ergo. And then the recoil is either going to be better or worse than the MDR.
Exactly. It's based. I mean, it's BSG, so they just like adding guns for the sake of adding guns, in my opinion. So it's just going to be another G36, basically. Like, it's fun. Maybe has some weird viability, but it's just like it's a new gun, guys. Yay! Let's go back to the ones that actually are effective.
Yeah, like this is the thing. I don't think it'll be banned on the fleet because I don't think it'll be that strong, but it could be a mid-game 5.56 replacement for the MDR that you use when you get to 5.6A1. It could be.
It could.
Can
you buy the 5.56 off the fleet?
Yeah, you can. They actually did ban it, and then they unbanned it because people were like, "What?"
That's right. I do remember that
because they banned the 7.62 version, and then people were like, "Dudes, this makes no sense." And then they did actually unban the 5.06 one. Like, why should the 5.56 MDR be banned? If you can buy all the other guns, you can buy the M4 still, HK, you can buy the Scar, you can buy G36. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't think the G36 was in then actually, but anyway, so I don't know where it's going to fit in. But we've got so many guns in that already that it's going to be hard for it to find its niche. You know, as you say, G36, M4, HK. We've got the Scar, we've got the MDR. Like, you know, we've still got the ADAR, the TX15 and stuff. Did I say the AK-101? There's loads. So it's going to be difficult for it to cut its niche. But I guess like another Bullpup's not too bad. We'll see. We will see.
I was just going to look it up on the wiki, like the actual Wikipedia, to see if you can see the rate of fire for the gun. That might give some rate of...
I think when I looked it up on Wikipedia, it said like 850 to 930 or something like that.
Okay, so probably 850.
Probably 850, I guess. Oh, sorry, the 750 to 830, I think it was, maybe.
Okay, so...
I can't remember now.
Maybe G36, 730 or 750? Why can't I find it? I think that was it.
750 to 830, I think it was, maybe. Okay, can't remember now. Maybe G36, 730 or 750. Why can't I find it? I think that was it. 750 to 830, I think it was, maybe. 750 to 830, I think it was, maybe. Let me just quickly pull it up to triple check. Yeah, so what did it say? I added 100 in my head, I
Oh,
think.
680 to 750. Yeah, I see it now. I'm dumb.
680. Okay, that's why I was confused. Okay. Yeah, 680 to 750. So it'll probably be 750, I think, or maybe 700.
Right.
I feel like 700 might be kind of cool.
It would be more interesting, I think, yes. But it might.
Then you really do have a lot of choice.
Yeah, depending what the recoil's like. Because the G36 is like, I want to like it, but you basically need to play like a god cracked out of your mind, like just, have the most insane recoil control abilities physically possible within the Tarkov universe or mechanics to make it really shine. Like, or like I shouldn't say shine, but like make it like make sense to use.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. It is weird. That's almost a perfect segue actually into what I wanted to talk about what I've been up to in Tarky. So I was playing with the PPSH. I just
Classic.
had one and gunned down a man, and he had the G36.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had. Did he have the C variety? I think no. It was the regular one. It was the long barrel one, but it had the Steak Espresso on it, so it was it was okay. And a ton of people in chat were just like, "I just keep the PPSH out." And I was like, "Oh man, that's like that's sad times." It's sad times when chat's just like, "Nah, stick with the scav gun that you had before." The unjammable 1000 RPM scav gun. Oh, which I thought was pretty funny. But the reason why that is relevant is because, and the reason why I was using the PPSH in the first place is because people may or may not have seen that I've been doing a lot of Zero to Hero within the game, and it has been some of the most fun I've had playing Tarkov in a while.
Good.
Honestly, it's been pretty nuts, and I think that it probably also helps that I was kind of going at Kappa in a, if I get it, I get it. If I don't get it, I don't. I'm not that bothered kind of way. And then taking a month off for the bear meant that basically it sealed the deal that I just like wasn't going to get it. So I was like, okay, well, we're not going to get it now. I'm not going to do the boring quest like sitting on pier for 3 weeks of stream.
Good
if
for
we're
you.
going to wipe, and I'm not going to get it because there's no point. So I haven't sweated out Shootable at all this wipe. I haven't sweated out any of those ones this wipe. It's great. And I thought, well, we'll just do other fun things. And so one of those fun things was running around on factory with the Ash 12 with the thick kit with the Reese T, which is cool. And then we sort of progressed onto doing these Zero to Hero runs because I don't know. So I think somebody just said it randomly in chat. They were like, "Oh, you should do Zero to Hero," and I was like, "I never really do those, but it's kind of maybe it's an interesting thing." But they always end up either you're just like, I've done the sort of practice hardcore before, where you like go in with nothing and you're just like, well, anything I get to keep, I get to take out, and you like segregate a tiny little bit of the stash, and you end up like, if you go like ultra hardcore, you end up like in between raids, you're just like bleeding, and like, oh, I got to wait 10 minutes for a bleed and stuff. It's like you need the rules, like the Deadly Stop and Pestily rules for hardcore to make it fun as well. And we went through this like whole argument on stream about basically about like the not to forget, because sometimes I forget this myself, right? It's like not to forget that the whole point of doing the hardcore is to make it more enjoyable. Like it's to give you a challenge, right? It's not to just be like hardcore for the sake of it, not just be stupid, right? It's like you don't want to be sitting in your stash for 20 minutes waiting for heals. Like it's just like there's no point in doing that. It's like that doesn't add anything to anyone's life, right? It's just silly. So having rules where you can buy certain meds or heal yourself up, blah blah blah. Anyway, like Zero to Hero is pretty fun. It was a kind of cool idea because like you don't really need to do anything. You could just heal yourself up beforehand. It's sort of its own like. It's not like an episodic. It's like it's like a series of short stories. You know what I mean? Like each raid is unrelated from the next. It's like hardcore light almost. You could just dip into it whenever you want. You just throw all your kit off into your stash and just go. And somebody recommended Reserve, which kind of made sense because there's like decent number of weapons crates and things like that. You can actually find a gun relatively easily. And we've been doing that and like throwing ourselves into it. The one thing, so it's not pure Zero what I've been doing. I made one of those compromises myself to grease the wheels, so to speak. So I'm not just like running around doing nothing. I'm bringing in basically a melee weapon, and that's it. So I'm bringing in the Red Rebel,
Oh, okay.
And that's it. But I think that's fair enough. It's like if you can hatch it a scab in the
Yeah.
head, there's enough of an element of risk there. Like I died enough times trying to hatch it a scab.
Yeah. I just wish you had you could punch them with your hands.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. But I guess it's like it's mechanically very similar.
Yeah, it's effectively there with the Red Rebel. No, I agree.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So I was starting off on with that basically, and it's been interesting. Like there's lots of different facets of why it's been kind of cool because okay, I guess to start with, like going in late wipe with the kit that you already have, with infinite money.
Yep.
You don't really have a goal.
Yep.
Except for killing other players, right? And sort of becoming better.
Right.
And so the problem that I've found with that, if I'm not questing and I'm just playing, and this is often a problem that I have with viewer kits as well. Like, at what point do I actually extract from the raid? Because I never had a goal in the first place, so why would I ever leave? And it means that I basically never ever survive any raid ever, ever again, because I just basically keep pushing PvP and just coin flip with people until someone kills me. And that might be a scav at the end of the raid. Like, I kind of feel almost compelled to be there until like the last 10 minutes. I'm just like, I hear a gunshot and I'm just after it. Like, at what point do I go? Like, leaving the raid is kind of dull, right? But like, I don't have any goals, so I'm never like, there's never a point to be like, okay, let's leave. Because even if you get like tons of loot, you're just like, I have 45 mil in the bank back in the stash. So like, I don't need any of this stuff. And I'm only going to spend time selling it. You know, it's actually probably going to be detrimental because unless I just vendor it all, which I've been doing a lot more. So anyway, so like the Zero to Hero kind of is it more interesting in that sense because you're going in and you're like, right, well, you have very defined goals. You have nothing. So you're like, okay, I either need to find a scav in a sort of compromised place, like in close combat situation where there's not two of them. I've definitely had killed one and got buckshotted by the other one. And you're so vulnerable because you've got no armor. So the scavs are really dangerous. And so you're going around like weapons crates, like trying to find some kind of weapon. And this was sort of another very interesting observation that I made because we've spoken a lot about loot distribution, about the final end game of Tarkov, the way it should be done, the traders, the flea market, all of that stuff, right? And it kind of comes back in this format too, because you're wandering around reserve, and reserve is not too bad because there's so many weapons, crates and stuff. But there were quite a few where I know there's some fixed weapon spawns here and there. I didn't see any in the time that I played Zero to Hero so far. And it does drive home how rare it is to find guns in those, even in the weapons containers, you know? It's like, I only found a handful of guns in those, and that was after scouring the map, searching almost all of them. And it's like, well, it's because the game's not really set up like that, right? The game's set up to buy the guns from the traders, and you and find the stuff in raid that you sell, and then buy the stuff from the traders that you then take back into raid, which is why nobody really finds it an issue that you don't find that many guns in raid. Normally, like if you're just playing the game, you're not really thinking about the bigger picture, the meta, like what the stuff that we normally talk about, and other content creators talk about. If you're just playing the game, you're just like, okay, well, this is fine because like I buy all my guns from the traders, so whatever. Like it's no biggie that I don't find any real guns in raid, or you don't even think about it. But when you're playing Zero to Hero, it's very critical because you just don't find any guns. And so half the time, that's why I ended up like trying to hatch the scav in the head because it's like the most reliable way of finding one. But sometimes you do find one, but then like trying to find a rig or armor or like a bag or something, like dude, like especially on somewhere like reserve, like you might find one in stashes on some other maps, but finding a rig on reserve, not on a scav, like where do you even find one? Where do they spawn? Like they just don't spawn. Where would they? There aren't any spawn points for them. It's like kind of weird.
Reserve.
Like,
I don't think it has any spawn. If it does, I've never seen it, but it's possible it does, but it's got to be like 1 in a million. Like, did you know there's a spawn for a scav backpack on customs next to 2-story dorms at the campfire where the duffel bag's at?
I might have seen it once, maybe.
Yeah, I've seen it like a handful of times, but it's like 1 in a million, and it's like you would. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's just a scav backpack. Like, why is it so ultra rare? You know, I can understand if it was like a raid backpack. You know?
Yeah, I feel like those like fixed spawns maybe were put in way back in the day. You know, so it's like the scab BP was probably one of the like bigger backpacks before they put in loads of the other ones. Because there's like fixed spawn points for like module 3M and packers as well.
Yeah, and MBSs. I think MBSs, but definitely those two for sure.
Yeah. But you never normally find anything bigger than that.
Right.
You never. There's like the class 5s and all the other ones. They're like loot pool generated, which is all to do with stashes. And things. They're not like world spawns, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It's like it made me think a lot more about like distribution of loot in raid and stuff. Like when you're sourcing everything from the raid, like obviously hardcore would do the same thing, but like I haven't played a full playthrough of hardcore. It really does drive home all the things that we've been talking about how it should feel if you're playing from scratch. Because I guess it's going to be important at some point, because if people like Clean to be believed, I so far as we know, that we won't actually have a stash to start with when the game, when we're playing 1.0 and we're on the first storyline quest and we load in, we may not have a stash even yet, because we haven't like got to customs, we haven't found the underground base, we haven't got a stash for stuff. So we might be playing some sort of semblance of hardcore until you get that. I don't really know. But if that's the case, then this kind of thing's kind of critical.
Yeah.
Just like if the loot pool's the way it is now, it's like you're never going to be able to find a gun. I mean, I did find a few guns, and it was kind of it was cool. Like the one time I found a Makarov and with like 5 rounds in it. So I had like 1 in the chamber and 5 in the magazine.
Okay.
Like, okay, this is like some Resident Evil stuff. It's like super restricted ammo. Which is like kind of interesting. Like I killed a scav with that, and then moved up to a shotgun or something. But it was kind of funny. There's like certain mechanics you just never run into otherwise. Things like that, like having those like extreme ammo constraints. Like I had a really weird moment. The first time that I had this was I found an AKMS, and it had a 30 rounder in it, full of, I think it was like full of PS or something. So I was like, okay, well, I found a box of PS rounds. Right? I was like, anytime you find anything that's 5.45, 7.62, or 9x18, you're like, okay, well, this is pretty good because I can probably find some ammo for it. It's like no big deal. And I can't remember exactly why I did. Oh, I know why. So I went into my inventory and I unloaded the mag using the drop down menu rather than doing the, like I should have gone into, because I should have gone into the gun. It's slower though, right? I should have gone into the gun, dragged the magazine to the secure container. That's the way I should have done it, rather than going right click unload. Because the thing that I didn't realize is I forgot that we banned magazines from secure containers to stop people cycling 60s through it.
Oh yeah.
So when I went right click unload, it unloaded it onto the floor. Now the unfortunate circumstance
you can't
of that
pick it
is that
up.
if you don't have a bag or a rig, it won't go in the secure container and you can't pick it up, which means you can't refill it, you can't hold it in your hands, you can't put it in a box. It's just stuck there until you find a bag or a rig, which is a really weird, like fringe case, because you never run into that scenario unless you're doing 0 to hero.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Most, I would say 98%, 99% people are going to run into that. You would be like, I'm trying to think when, like, if you were
run
that
like a really
poor.
specific shotty kit. I run a really specific shotty kit, which is like, it's like IFAK, Propital, extra rounds, and hemostat. And and that's 4 pocket slots. And that's it. And I run no bag and no rig. Like that's the only other time that it's potentially relevant.
Yeah. Like, well, I was thinking like White Day. Let's say you just bring in literally an M4, and you put, you get the mag in there, and you got the ammo, but you made like the critical mistake of not bringing, like you weren't really expecting, you didn't think you wouldn't be able to like detach the mag and load it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like for example, the DayZ, you physically load a magazine, and your hands are effectively like an inventory slot. So
that's
you can.
The thing that we're missing.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's like you said, it's a very niche case, and most likely, some. Yeah, I mean, if I could see it happening, like I said, I could see someone bringing an M4. They're just like broke. It's White Day. They just got M4. They got 120 rounds in their container, and they're just gonna think, oh yeah, I'm just gonna unload the M4 and pack rounds, and then they realize the mag won't go in there. But
yeah, so that was kind of interesting. At that point, we had and this happened again a second time, just because like I didn't have a mag for it, so we ended up like doing a breach loading AK, like one by one, which is pretty funny. So just like a PS round goes in and then another PS round goes in. You're like trying to headshot a scav, which is pretty funny. Like add some fun moments for that. You know, the musket AK and the musket. I had an RPK as well that came with no mag. That one spawned in a box and it came without a magazine. And again, I had a magazine, but I didn't have a rig or a backpack, so I couldn't pick it up or use it. There was a similar. So what I realized the error of my ways later, when I had a Kedda, because the Kedda had a 30 rounder in it, and I found some bullets, and I was like, oh, I've run into the same problem again. I can't reload this, and I was like, oh, actually, I can, because I haven't unloaded it yet. I can find a weapons box and use that inventory space to do it. So then I can take the mag out using the inventory, drop it into the weapons box, drop my rounds into the weapons box, unpack the rounds in the weapons box, reload the mag in the weapons box,
Yeah.
and then put the mag back in the gun using the weapons box. It's just like freaking hell. I had to like find a box to like do good stuff. I was like, okay, I know how to circumvent this now and like stop that from happening. But damn, it's funny. Like even after playing like so long and looking at all the mechanics, it's like certain things, because you just never do them. Just like, I just thought it would go into secure container, and I just completely forgot that in this particular circumstance, you get caught by like the Chad thing of like cycling the 60s round through the secure container, and that also affects me like with no mag or with no rig or bag. It's freaking nuts, dude. But yeah, I managed to reload this Kedda with 30 rounds of actually no, it wasn't a PPSH. That was actually what happened with the Kedda. Reloaded it with like PBM or something, like one of the actual better rounds. Dropped down a hole in reserve and like nailed the guy with the G36. It was a Kedda, not a PPSH actually. I tell a lie. But oh god, yeah, it's like it's been weird. It's been weird, but honestly it's been so much fun. Like I had like with the PM one, like killed the scab with the PM with the headshot, took his shotgun, like ran along the other side, killed a dude who was like kitted with an AK, took his stuff, and there was like ACPC, like full like come up, like go down into D2 to like leave out of there, because I didn't have a paracord because I was just taking Red Rebel. So I was like, right, let's go down into D2. And then some guy like completely surprised me. Like I accidentally proned in one of the doorways down in like not in D2 itself. It was like, how would I describe it? See, there's like the first bit that you go down into, and there's like a few little doors, and then there's kind of a wide open-ish room, and there's like a box in the corner. It's like one of the first sort of tunnel sections. As I came to the end of the door there, I opened it, and he was literally there with like an SR, and I was like, oh, just like spam all the keys. I ended up just like lying down and just like nailing this guy with the BS rounds from the first guy with the AK, kill him, right? And then I'm just like hobbling out the raid with like 2 ACPCs, and like an AK like completely Gucci'd out with like 260 rounders full of BP. I've got this dude's SR25 as well, like 2 helmets. Like I was like, oh my god. And we started with literally nothing and like a 5 rounder Makarov. So I mean, needless to say, I'm completely addicted to these 0 to hero runs now, because they're just I've had too many good runs, and even like the thing is, even the stupid raids where, I mean, this is what happened. I mean, people are talking about it in chat already, because it was very memorable. I managed to like run down from Dome and break both my legs off the rocks, like literally a minute into the raid. And so we just like spend the rest of the raid looking for splints. Like it was literally like splint hunt for 15 minutes, and we had one morphine and we had one augmented. So it was like, okay, we've got 300 seconds and 150 seconds where we can walk at a normal speed, and do a little bit of running, and that's it. And like finally, eventually, we found it. Like killed a dude down in there was like a scav who tried to kill us, and because we were so slow, we came out like a place that the guy didn't expect. Like he pushed us, and I was just in the middle of the corridor because I couldn't move. And that was the raid that I had the PPSH, and I killed him. He was like a scav. He was like trying to kill me, but he didn't even fire because I was like just in this like complete off angle by accident, because I actually couldn't run because I'd run out of painkillers, and so I was in like this bizarre space. But it's weird because you end up like, it's like with the G36 guy, because you've got other things to do. Like you're not pushing PvP, you're not pushing shots, you're not forcing yourself into situations where you're just like trying to run in and get PvP kills, and like people are there like waiting for you. You just like hear when people are nearby and just like take advantage of it. And then like I'm getting like decent number of PMC kills just because it's like circumstantial rather than like trying to make them happen.
You're forcing the issue versus letting it happen naturally.
Exactly. And because you're doing other stuff, because you're just like, well, I've only got enough meds to heal up like my stomach or my right leg. And you're like going around trying to find another med, and you're like, oh, there's a PMC somewhere. And then you hear them, and then, you kind of like ambush them and stuff. It's like, I'm not necessarily being quiet about it or anything, but you just like run into these more like organic situations.
Yeah.
More often. than you would otherwise. I mean, there's been plenty of ones where I just got like buckshotted or like 762 BP'd right off the spawn or something. But another beautiful thing about it, and especially for late white, you don't have to build a kit. You just press go. You heal yourself with the grizzly, you go again. It's very, very fast. There's like no sitting around in your stash, doing gearing up, doing barters, getting ACPCR, like pull the thing out, the nutrition, got 3 whiskeys and get my Kujurun and get ACPC and then put all the rounds, and they stack the M61 on the top and M62 on the bottom. It's like 15 minutes later, then you get like shot 3 minutes in. There's none of that because you just heal up and go. Heal up and go. I'm addicted, man.
Just got the 5-minute loading time. That's it.
Yeah. Like you crack out loads of raids, like, and it's super fun. You're like in raid 90% of the time. It's amazing.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you're enjoying it because I think it really shows. Like, I don't know. Some people really like the whole like PvP. Like all they want to do. Like I literally know people like this who, like, I don't want the game to wipe. I just want to like keep PvPing. I was like, how can you say that, bro? It's just like, don't you get bored of literally just like, as you said, just forcing the issue? It's like, who got the faster spawn? I did. I guess I'll camp here. And then here comes the Chad who's also trying to force the issue, and you kill him. And it's like, you just like, you're like, oh, that rat. And then it's like the tables turn, and then now you're the rat doing the same thing. It's just like, dude, like, it's come on, bro. Like, what do you know what I mean? There's no
trading gear.
Yeah, it's like there's no objective. You know what I mean? Everyone's got infinite rubles. Like if it was like capture the flag or like team deathmatch, then like sure, yeah, there's an actual objective and there's, you know what I mean? Like sure. Then I feel like I can play some strategy, but now I just feel like I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it because I have nothing better to do, but I want to play a video game that I enjoy. You know, it's just like a miserable place. So doing those like challenges, it like really like reinvigorates or reunites that whole like feeling of what got you originally, you know, hooked into Tarkov. And I love how you get to like see a lot of the like mechanics and like very niche areas. Like one thing I kind of wish it was Tarkov was more like this, but because scavs are essentially loot pinatas. I mean, it's basically what they are, right? And in your zero to hero, you start with nothing, so you gotta like try really hard to kill them. Maybe you find a gun, maybe you know get one who's alone and whack him to death with your red rebel in the alleyway or something. But he's got maybe a rig, which is like that's a big upgrade. That means you can reload. You can maybe put some loot items in there. Maybe hotkey a bigger med like a Salewa or something. You can actually pack your mags now. That's a big, you know what I mean? That's nice, right?
It's huge, dude.
Yeah. He's got a broken pack-a. Well, I mean, dude, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? He's got a scav hat. Hey, now I'm looking pretty fly now. You know, it's just like, but you get like these little upgrades, even when you find stuff. But like that's one thing that bothers me is like when I did some of the like different challenges I did was I would like unpack everything. Like if a scav has a 5-round Sega shotgun mag, unpack it. I don't care if it's 7mm buckshot. Like I need it, and I just like you hoard it. That way you have like resources to use. Whereas like right now, like that's just like a level 1 trader thing. Like it's just like, you know what I mean? It's like junk loot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like
2 rubles around or whatever. Like,
yeah, but it's like what does it even do? Like I don't even think a player scav would loot it. You know what I mean? That's how like low on the food chain it is. So I don't know, it's kind of cool to like see a lot of these like very like worthless items suddenly be like super valuable and have like a lot of uses. And it's also kind of like I think Tarkov can be like this. I'm saying it's wrong that it is or isn't like this, but like in DayZ, for example, like let's say you need a splint. In theory, you could find one, or you could go find the parts to make one in the raid. Whereas like in Tarkov, you can find one, but you can't find the parts to make one in raid in that instance when you need it. You know what I mean? Like I can't craft a splint. And like you may think, well, they just need to make more splints for that situation where, you know, because you can't craft one in raid, we just need more splints on the map. Then people wouldn't have a reason to bring in splints because they can just find them in raid. You know what I mean? So there's like a really like weird balance there they have to walk, which is interesting because like going back to the weapons argument, it's like maybe you don't even need to bring a weapon in a raid if there's going to be guns spawning everywhere. You know what I mean? Like you just open up a crate and it's like, oh shit, I got a Vepr 136 with BP in it. Let's go, dude. You know, it's like
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's like with a splint, it's like a very specific item that has a very specific utility. With the guns, it's just like, it's a crapshoot, right? It could be that, it could be a TOS, it could be whatever. I think for me, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I always feel that like maybe that's okay in some ways, that it is, because it's a random lottery. It's not like, oh, I'm just every time I open a crate, I'm just going to get like a Gucci gun. It's just like something random, but I think it's just the lack of weaponry that in general that I'm concerned about, and like I really don't mind them skewing the loot pool. The loot pool is fine. A PM with 5 rounds in it, okay. There's the PPSH with 7 rounds in the mag, okay, cool. There's like, or an RPK like with no mag at all, like we had before, or maybe there's like it's only got 3 bullets in it or something. That's fine, and then you make it like relatively rare to find something really good. I think that's a little different, just because it's almost like the grades of stuff, whereas like a splint is something like it's kind of just a basic like building block of the game, because it's like a med element or something. But I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah, if you had it so that every single weapons crate had a gun, it's like, oh, I just hit 5 weapons crates and I'm gonna find something good.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. But like, yeah, I mean, I think there is more to it, because it's like, then you've got like compatible magazines. Like, do you have the 3 mags for it?
For sure.
There's a world in which there's too much spawns and that situation occurs. But I think we're so far the other way. I'm not as concerned about that right now.
If they do it the exact opposite extreme,
Yeah, exactly. I'll be like the other way around. Which is sort of closer to what we've been talking about a little bit before, just like things spawning with other things. But yeah, what were you gonna say?
How many times did you loot a weapons crate and it was like iron sights for an AK?
I mean, loads of times. There's like tons. It's just like, the sights for a Glock. Like, there's tons of Glock parts.
That's
like
true.
Random magazines, like gas blocks. The one thing that surprised me is just like tons of suppressors, dude. Like suppressors and like.
There is a lot of them.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of suppressors, quite a lot of like vertical foregrips. Like anytime I found a gun that has a slot for it, I pretty much had a vertical foregrip every raid. Which is kind of interesting. Either like an AFG or like one of the RKs of some description. Like I actually found quite. I mean, maybe Reserve is a bit different with its loot pool, but there's quite a lot of optics and those kind of things. I think I found 2 of like the canted RK1s and things like that. It's like it was quite a lot of like good stuff actually. I don't normally go around like farming weapons crates, so it was kind of eye opening a little bit. I'm just like, wow, I'm just like suppressors out of the wazoo. You just like really like high end. Like RK2,
inside the crates or laying loose?
Inside the crates.
Okay.
And some loose as well, but like mostly inside the crates, which is kind of interesting.
I think Reserve and maybe Labs are like the 2 most popular 0 to hero maps. Maybe also Customs, probably Customs as well, just because it's Customs. But specifically,
I didn't want to do Customs because I was like, I'm not sure I'm going to get a gun, and there's like the chances just running into people is just so high.
Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah,
and I just didn't really want to get
right.
RD704 down within like the first 4 to 5 minutes every single raid in a row. Whereas Reserve's got a lot of, because everyone goes underground, you can kind of just like scuttle around above ground and sort of do what you want until a bit later anyway, until there's like shots or something. So it's kind of neat like that. Like it works really well actually, and you've got like the no backpack extract, which like you hardly ever get a backpack, so you can leave if you want. Like I had one where we left on literally like 2 HP because I could not find an item for, I think it was a light bleed or something. It got us onto a whole nother conversation about how heavy bleed items, it should be like, so heavy bleed and light bleed are completely different status effects, right? They're completely unrelated to each other.
Yeah.
They're 2 different status effects and they're healed by different items. Like certain items coincidentally heal both, but those status effects are not like tiered, right? A light bleed can't turn into a heavy. They're not the same thing. And so items that only heal one only heal that specific status. Okay, that's fine. Like a bandage only heals a light, great. But it feels weird when you're walking around with like a cat tourniquet or something, and you cannot heal your light bleed with it. Like we were talking about this. Like I almost feel like they should change it so that items that heal heavies should automatically also heal lights. But maybe there's some disadvantage or something to doing so. I don't know. Maybe it takes a lot longer, or maybe like a limb loses max HP or something if you use the wrong item. I don't know, but like it just feels weird to me that like my character's like bleeding out, but not very fast, and like he's completely unwilling to use a tourniquet on it because it's like, it's the wrong type of bleed.
Yeah,
it's like the wrong
type, right? Yeah, it's almost like you need, instead of it being like 2 different categories. It's almost like the same category, but one, requires more. Some, like, I don't want to say more resources, but like I don't know what else you would do.
Something like that. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's like maybe you could heal a heavy with like 4 or 5 bandages or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you wanted to do it that way
I
around.
guess that could work. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
you
so
would
you
have
give them a bit like
a bandage could do a light bleed, and then an army bandage could do a heavy bleed because it would take 2 bandages, 2 uses.
it's something like that. Yeah, I mean, but and definitely the other way around. It's like if you got an S March tourniquet like that, you should be able to heal a light bleed in some fashion with it. Like it might not
Yeah.
be as good as a bandage would be, but you should be able to resolve that status effect. Like you use the wrong item, so maybe you get something else that isn't as good.
Infected wound.
Something. I don't know. But,
No, I get you.
That was another interesting one that just kind of like came to light while we were playing because I ended up leaving one through sewer manhole because I had no bag in like almost every raid unless I killed a scab with one, which like scabs often don't have them. And unless you kill a PMC, like in most of the raids, I just never had a bag. So I ended up just finding rigs off scabs, and we had to sprint to the sewer manhole. I had to like take one last painkiller so I could get there in time. I think we left with like 2 HP or something because I did not find a regular bandage in any spawn. I was like, oh my god, like what is the chances? It's like tripping over. There's like 3 cat tourniquets, like 2 S marches. I'm like, oh my goodness. This is like even the hemostat kit. This is like not going to help you, right? You need an actual med. I couldn't find an actual med to heal myself, and I couldn't find a regular bandage, so I was just stuck without it. But yeah, no, it's interesting. Like reserves a cool map. There was one time where I felt justified because I'm bringing the Red Rebel in. There was a dude that I killed, and he had a paracord on him. So I was like, I feel justified because he had a paracord and we found it. I feel justified leaving through Dome, which is cool. But the rest of the time, you like have to go out of D2 or you have to go out of the sewer manhole or whatever. Yeah, dude, it's been good. It's been really good actually. Been really fun. I'm like looking forward to doing more. Like I was even like today, I was even just like, oh man, I could just like do a quick 0 to hearing. I was like, I'm really, really loving it. Like it feels a bit like back, as you said, it's like the way that it was when you first played.
Yeah.
Because you're looking for things that are so basic and like having to make really tough decisions with like really limited space. It's like, okay, I have like 4 pockets and my secure container, which like I'm using the regular one, the 3x3, and the EOD one. So that's like, you have 4 plus 9, but it's not that much. And you're like, what do I take? Do I keep the ammo? Do I keep the PP ammo, the 60 like PP that I found? Because I might find a gun, but it's then got PRS in it, and that's going to suck, right? So like, at least PP I can deal with class 4. So okay, maybe I'll keep that, and then like all the barter or loot items I'm just like not bothered with. But it's like, okay, well, I keep this scope. I'm going to keep this one because this one's this goes on a Picatinny rail. I'm going to keep this one because this goes on a dovetail. Because I don't know what I'm going to find. I could find an N. I could find, a regular AKM with a Bastion on it. You just don't know. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep as many of my options as open as possible. I'm trying to keep like the widest selection of meds I can. It's like it's interesting. It's actually interesting. Like it's fun, and I love that thinking, right? And I love the optimization there about the hard decisions about what to take and what not to take. It's especially in the end game, it just becomes slightly too straightforward. I mean, the only other thing that I've been doing, because we're talking like about challenge in general, like yeah, the factory thing's fun. You just run as thick as you can and just keep going until you die. 0 to Hero is also cool. But the other one that I did, which was I only did like I think 2 raids of it, but it was like kind of interesting because I've been playing a little bit more Lighthouse now that I've got some frames with the new CPU, which is cool. And I was like, you know what, we're gonna just go like we're going like counter-sniping. So I basically like go up to the rocks because like it's basically getting vengeance on all the people who've killed me when I've been up there I'm just like trying to casually shoot some rogues and some dude comes up with like whatever. So I'm like, right, we're going. So we go like properly kitted with a short range like RD with the blast mitigation device on it, which is like, yeah, it was like hollow sight only. Just like go up there and kill people, end up like kill a bunch of sniping people with the RD with BP. So that was quite fun too. But that's like it gives you another goal. It's like my goal here is to kill people sniping on the road camp. Just like beeline it up to the top of the rocks and then just like listen for foot like roaming around just like, where are you bastards? So, like, it's like people would like, they've got, oh no, they got the 3x12 on their SR25 and you're just there like die. It's great. So I had fun doing that too. That's what I've been up to, dude. It's been fun.
You brought up suppressors earlier, and I think that is like one of the most. I don't know, for me. Like, I mean, as you said, and I feel like we've said this before, Tarkov is like at its best when you have to make hard decisions. And what I really like about some of these challenges is when it comes to like weapon mods, like you said, like there's a lot of depth in like what you take, what you don't take, and every other thing. But one of the really interesting ones is suppressors. It's actually, if you play with no traders, it is actually extremely hard to suppress your weapon. Like extremely hard. Like no traders, no flee. Because you have to find the right, let's say you find a what's the one that goes on the meta 556s? Is it the dang
Saker?
Saker? Yes. Let's say you find that, you think great. That's a meta suppressor, that's really good. And you're like, wait a minute, I need the right muzzle attachment for it to work. And it's like there's like this dual thing where you gotta find both components to get like the ultimate, form. But the ones that are actually really valuable are the ones that are like suppressed with no muzzle attachment to it. I forget. There's one for the M4. I don't. It's like the RC7. Is it? I don't know what it's called.
They're all of the rotor ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
rotor. That's
556. All the rotor ones just go on their own.
Yes, the rotor one, and it's like what's frustrating is that suppressor is actually worth a lot. And I don't exactly know why. I think it's a noob trap. Like noobs are like, oh, I want to suppress my gun. Let me look on the flea market, and like, oh, only this is the only suppressor. I saw Billy Bob 365 have a suppressor on his gun. I want to be cool like him. Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. It's like use the link search, right? Link search the barrel. Oh, this is the only suppressor. Okay, fine, let's go for it. There's lots of things like that actually in the game.
And the second possibility is I think it's gunsmith related. I think the M4
maybe.
There's like a guide for to use that suppressor, I think.
I see. Even though you don't need to, it's like
even though you need to,
it's on the wiki or something.
Yeah. I think it's Gunsmith 4 actually, but anyways, it's really cool, man, because like at the start of 1212, like a year ago, I found the rotor suppressor and I put up my M4 and I was like, God, this is so like it's literally an M4 of irons, but it has a rotor suppressor. I'm like, dude, this is like the first time I've been able to use this, and it's like actually makes sense. It's viable. I have a suppressed gun on wipe day. Like it was really fun. And then I died.
Yeah. But it's like CS:GO, it's just like the
Yes.
you just got like the stock M4 with the suppressor on the end.
Yes.
It's like, dude. Yeah, I found this. Was it this wipe or last wipe? I can't remember. But I found the TTSK rig before because I was like, I don't know if this is any good or not. It's ceramic. I'm not sure. It's before we'd done any analysis, right? This is like super, super early. But I was like, I'm just going to rock this thing. And I survived so much with it on. It was like class 6 on wipe days, like insane. In like the Tasmanian Tiger SK. The rig, the class 6 rig that you barter from.
Oh, you found that?
Found that like really early. I found it on like day 2 or something. And I just like stomped around reserve, just like getting people on customs. Like it was insane. It was just like this huge bullet sponge because nobody could hit you in the head because all the guns are terrible. And I'm just there, just like eating PS rounds, just like come at me, bros. Like it was so good. Like when you find some of those cool items early, it's just like awesome. But like it was so new as well. I was just like, I've never seen this before. Like I'm not sure even if this is good or not. Like it's got pretty bad durability, but like I'm sure it's probably worth using. But yeah, it's just like absorbs a grand amount of anything because the amount of armor damage is like so small to it, even though it's kind of crappy. It's like everyone's just like pinging off with like T rounds at 5.45 and like 9mm PST and stuff. It's like, yeah, it was a good time. So yeah, when you get something cool early, it does feel extra good for that reason, right? So it's awesome. It is awesome. Oh man, what a crazy time.
You should do I know you talked about it, but if you could figure out, this would be my recommendation. If you could figure out how to turn it into YouTube content and make it work, you should do a hardcore like play, like maybe not a full playthrough, but like a separate account or something, something on the side. I don't know. But I don't know how you turn it into content because I don't think maybe you could try it and be successful with it, but I don't think episodic content is really hard to work. Like you have to like nail the first one because everyone after it's going to get less and less views. So I don't know how you would make that work.
Yeah, it's tough. I think you have to be basically like pest or landmark
basically
to make that make sense, I think. But I don't know. There's some ways of like doing stuff. I mean, I guess I almost feel like the 0 to Heroes is more contentable because you can like pick and choose, and because again, it's like what I said. It's like a show where the episodes are like unrelated, right? It's like a series of short stories as opposed to being like a novel. People can just dip in and out and they don't feel like they've missed anything, which is fine. And you don't need to compel people through the whole series. But what was I going to say? There was a particular point I had for that in
trying
particular.
hardcore, or
it's going to come back. It's going to come back to me. It's going to come back to me. It's about the Zero to Heroes in particular, and about like why that might actually.
I think they're
work better.
I think they're very marketable as well. You could be like, I went in with I went in with nothing.
Yeah.
I came out with this. Like on one side you got a naked PMC, and the other side you got Giga Chat armor.
Yeah.
So
and it's neatly contained as well.
Yeah.
All within like one video.
You could do another one. It could be a completely different angle. Like, I can't believe this happened, you guys. And
exactly.
That's kind of the same angle, but you get my point.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that's the thing, is like you're not then reliant upon the whole series like working in tandem with itself. Plus, like a hardcore account. The reason why, like, I would love to. I would love to. If my workflow was different and I was more streaming slanted, I would definitely have done it by now. The only reason why I don't is literally just like time constraint. The only reason why I don't do it, because like it already takes me long enough to get up to level 42 and da da da. I mean, I'd be half tempted to this wipe to like, because I know I'm going to be a little bit more pressured again, just because like the little one's so young, to get to 42 and then be like, okay, now we're starting hardcore, maybe, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I could see something like that.
Think about it. Yeah, because just be like, right, we're not getting Kappa, don't care.
Yeah,
this wipe, don't care about that. Like in the streets patch, just don't care. We're just going to start hardcore from the beginning. Depends on how the early game looks, I think.
Well, you could even be, like the first half of the season, if you will, you play regular, and then the second half you do, you're kind of like starting that whole experimental side a little sooner. If it worked within your content, lineup. I know you got a lot of like, I always like your videos because I feel like you take like, you squeeze like every Tarkov mechanic to the last drop, dude. Like, did you know that the SV98 actually has more ergo without the stock? I'm like, what? Yeah. I did not know that. That's crazy.
I basically just try all the stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And like, 20 things that I try don't make it in, and one thing I'm just like, no way. Yeah. Like maybe that's like interesting for some people. It's just try random things.
Freaking mad like, scientist over here.
That's the thing. Like nobody else can be bothered to like make a recording with the stock, without the stock, and then measure the frames, and then also measure like the arm stamina. Like nobody else can be bothered. That's the main point, right?
Yeah, that's
like,
so true.
I can be bothered. So people, I'm gonna spend like 8 hours recording video, and then people can watch the 10-minute video that took like 8 hours to record. It's easy to tell, like no one Giga. Yeah, to crazy people like us. I mean, like nobody outside of the mentalists like us. It's like it's like me. It's like Veritas. You, as in CZ, who's in chat right now. And then there's like there's a bunch of other people who've like come and gone from like doing tests. Voxy used to do that kind of testing. Anton, like right back in the day. Like there's various people who do different tests, but it's the crazy sort of science end of the community. Like 99.9% of people can't be bothered to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And so like running around interchange for 4 hours with SJ6s on, looking at like skill point gain, like measuring the stat bars and stuff. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And airwing to an extent. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It just depends on how the wipe goes, how the content goes. And I think like the thing for me is like once I reach 42, I can kind of do everything that I want to do, I guess.
Exactly.
I suppose like I only need to do, because now because I've got like a few more streams on, I only need to get like so much footage for like a particular thing that I'm doing. Like I don't need to spend all my, because I used to spend basically like all my time on stream just like desperately trying to like feed the tail of the snake into the head. You know what I mean? I'm just like, right, I've got a video about the SPD coming up. Like I need to play in my 3 hours on Saturday. Like I hope to God I kill someone. Like whereas now it's a lot easier, right? It's like I'm going to use it for like a couple of sessions, and like it's not a big deal. And then if I have a really good session on one, then it's just like, okay, we can move on to the next one early and stuff like that. So I mean, I do plan out what I do like that, because you kind of have to just say you've got enough clips. But I'm a bit more chilled these days about that, which is nice. Yeah, it's good. But no, I don't know. I don't know. There's yeah, I think there's some zero to hero stuff that could be good for content just because they are entertaining. And I think I made this point on stream again when we were talking about it live, that in what other scenario would you have everybody just being like, oh my god, no, are you gonna make it? About like some dude like fighting two scavs, getting his legs broken, and then like limping around looking for splints for 15 minutes. I think that raid, I didn't fight any PMCs at all. I fought one player scav down in the D2 kind of area. It was just in the bunker. It wasn't actually even in D2, and the rest of it was just all player scavs and me fighting against the map. And it was like really compelling, and it was really compelling to play, and people loved it because it's much more. It's overcoming challenge.
Yeah,
but there's no challenge to overcome when you load into a raid like completely geared up for
right.
PvP. Right?
There's really no stakes. Who cares if you lose?
Yeah, there's no stakes. It's like I broke my legs 30 seconds into a raid, and this is what happened. ... There you go. Right, it's like free content right there. It's like it's a free title for the raid though. Like it's just like it's so much more compelling than I went in completely geared out of my mind with BP,
right,
and killed 15
well, that's
players.
also been like overdone because like that probably could have been done maybe not the very first wipe, but you know what I mean. Like that's like it's been done a ton of times, so it's not as exciting. It's like Mr. Beast gave away, and Mr. Beast does a video. He's like, I gave away my 400th island this time, guys. Check it out. The stakes are the same. You guys like it, right? Hey, click the video, guys. What's what?
He still manages to get like 50 million views though. So
yeah.
More fool us, I guess. More fool us. I still there was a point that I was going to make earlier, and I thought that he was going to come back talking about it. But I probably threw you off there. I couldn't like I just can't quite get it back. I don't know what it was, but it is what it is. It is what it is. But so, yeah, it's been fun.
You want to introduce our next topic, and I'll go cut on this fan behind me because I'm sweating like crazy. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Great.
I guess this is not. Well, is it related? I mean, sort of, but it was basically there was a post that kind of inspired, I think, Church. But I was like, I also agree this is something that's interesting to talk about, and it was actually from Velian because he's posted a few things recently, and I know that he's in particular been quite frustrated with Tarkov as one of the more kind of like Shift W type players. I know those guys get more frustrated with desync and things than usual, than other people at least. And he basically said, like, does anybody else feel like Tarkov PvP fights are just random RNG fights that you sometimes get lucky and win the RNG roll or lose the RNG roll? And I personally think, I mean, Church, feel free to give your thoughts, but like my very, very short take on it is I totally see where he's coming from. And I did kind of talk about this when we looked at inertia back in the day, being like, if you decrease the skill cap at the top, it does just become more random for the people who are like, the best 1,000 players or whatever. It's like the best player in the world before, maybe they could defeat the 10th player in the world. Now is it 50-50? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of always felt like Tarkov leaned more on that side, like less from like a skill base, your classic CSGO or what's a Valorant type of like first person shooter. Like those are like probably the most skill based shooters that come to mind. Maybe Apex Legends up. I don't know I don't know what like the gold standard is nowadays. Can't keep up with these dang Zoomers and their freaking woo cats. But anyways, yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of RNG in Tarkov. Like the aim punch specifically is like really, I just like don't. I mean, obviously other games have it, but this one just feels really random. Like I don't know what direction it goes. B, I can't see shit. Like I can't see anything. My screen is literally maximum like Gaussian blur effect applied percentage 1000. Like it's just maxed. It's maxed off the charts. So you can't see anything. So it's just like, but in some ways, like, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. He has, like, if that's the rule set, then it's important to be the first guy shooting to then, get that strategical advantage. But then it's like, well, what if this other guy, like he got the one shot off and hit him once, and now he's aim punched. So like normally he would be able to like, you know, react fast enough and get on target, and then he can punish the guy that, you know, did like a panic spray and got, you know, 3 hits. But because the panic spray guy got the first shot, he basically wins the fight. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. It's just like you can get really lost in the weeds of it, I feel like. But in general, I'm not saying it's a bad thing Tarkov is like this, but I think that's what they're gonna go for based off the current mechanics. How they done things, like adding weapon jams, it just felt like you're kind of just adding more RNG to the fights and making like, you know, if I have that clear shot on the guy and it clicks, and then something happens where he shoots me, I'm going to be really upset whether or not I'm in cover or running or whatever. Like, I'm just like, great, I lost the RNG roll. Yay. You know, it's just not fun.
Yeah.
But that's kind of Tarkov, I feel like.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is. It is. Yeah, it is. It's interesting. There's a lot of different factors that make it like this.
Right.
And the more that they make it like that, the less skill, I guess, the less like skill differentiation there is between two players. I mean, again, you can make another argument if we're going to go for another thought experiment, which is imagine that the misfire chance is like 50% or something.
Okay.
Well, then it very much is like what you're saying, right? It's like 2 people shoot, only one person actually gets the bullet to actually leave the barrel to kill the other guy. So then it doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, obviously you have to aim, but
it's a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, like you're the one who got the shot off, so you're probably going to win. I mean, maybe that's too simplistic an argument, but the idea being that, yeah, it's a fringe case. It's not 50-50. It's like off in the fringes, right? You both got, you know, a 1% chance of getting a jam or something. But in those scenarios, that cuts off those. There would usually be a fight. Normally, let me say this properly. In that scenario, normally there would be a fight that happens between 2 players, and it's based off the skill of those 2 players. But in that 1% of scenarios, somebody jams, and whoever didn't get the jam just wins. So it takes I would have won 70-30, and it takes it to 68-32. Do you know what I mean? And it starts to level out the skill gap between different players.
Because the bad roll is so punishing, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Because the bad roll is so punishing, and it's like almost all the bad rolls are so punishing, right? So it's like you've both got class 5 armor and you have BP. The one guy 2-taps the other guy, and the first person gets an absorption, and it's a 3-shot, and they die. Like, again, it's like you can have 2 equally skilled players, or people who are similarly skilled, but one person just gets lucky with the 2-tap, and the other guy gets absorbed twice in a row, right? And it's like, oh man, even the 3rd shot won't kill him. Then it's tough. And Tarkov comes down to these really fine margins sometimes. It depends on how you play as well, because if you're kind of ambushing players from range and you're using knowledge of the map and pathing and spotting, whatever, and you kill people without being seen, then it's slightly different. I feel that but then it's not really skill then, right? It's like that's tactics. That's different.
Yeah, you're taking I think what it is you're taking the mechanics, whether they're purely skill based or not, and you're applying them to the best possible case scenario. And even if you get bad RNG, you know, if you needed to draw a 6 on your next, you know, card pool, and you draw the 1, is there something you can do with that 1 to make it work? You know, maybe it's not, and that's fine. It's just the luck of the draw, and that's just the game. But you got to still, like, prior to that, you got to keep your options for it. Like, you can't bank that you're always gonna, like, I need the draw 6 on turn 5. You know, let me make sure I build my strategy around that. You need to have all your options open and constantly be like making these smaller decisions, like, oh, maybe I keep this in case I don't get that card, yada yada yada. That's kind of how Tarkov feels more. It's like, oh, this guy's right side peeking. I already got aim punched, and you know, he zeroed my armor. You know, whatever. I'm just like, I don't know. Get good, bro.
Yeah, it's like this conversation really does pertain much more to close combat PvP fighters who are playing against other
Yeah,
opponents that know they're there more than anything else, right? And
absolutely.
that again, it's part. I was thinking about a completely different scenario before, just thinking about okay, well, and it's when you were talking about how much RNG can you suffer? It's like, well, if you're at range, like prone in a bush, like whether these strategies are good or bad or whatever, like this is not part of the conversation. That's a completely separate topic. But say you're prone somewhere and you see a guy or you've been tracking him, whatever, and he's like out of cover, he like makes his sprint for the next bit, and you're just like, you're just firing. At that point, it doesn't matter if you get unlucky with the BP and you absorb one and then whatever, like the guy's out of position and he can't fire back because he doesn't know where you are and you're suppressed and then he's dead. Then it doesn't make any difference. The only thing that might screw you up there is like if you get a jam halfway through, but then you're not going to die because you can go, oh crap, gun jam, right? And like you can like reposition and run away. So it's like it's very asymmetric then because you're not talking about a fair fight between two equally skilled players. Like this is
Right.
and Velian's tweet is about like he says, does anyone else feel PvP fights? He's talking specifically about like close range indoor PvP fights on full auto or fast semi-auto with players who are kind of fighting each other who both know where each other are, basically. And you've got the things we've talked about, plus you also have desync, which rears its ugly head way more inside and around corners because it's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And that is another thing, right? Sometimes you get the luck of the draw with the desync. Sometimes it's the once that we've talked before about peaker's advantage, and it's if you're the one holding the peak, you're always at the disadvantage because you're always there when they peek out. But if you peek and then pull back in and then they peek and then you peek out and they're still peeking out on your screen, it's like 50-50. It's like, well, who got the peaker's advantage? Well, you're both peeking. It depends on who the server latency ended up kind of like because you're sort of like ghosting yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're still there on their screen, even though on your screen you're not there anymore, kind of thing. And because they shot you on their screen, then you die on your screen, even though you're behind the cover now.
Yeah.
So it's like who actually got peaker's advantage at that point? Like once you're in a peak battle and a right hand peak battle, it's kind of like 50-50 if you're equally skilled because sometimes you get desynced on, sometimes you don't. So it's those, yeah, it's all of those things together that make it quite random. And like I kind of agree with them. I think I think it is quite random. And in some sense, I mean, now I'm going to make a little stretch here and say, in some sense, is that the way Tarkov is supposed to be? Possibly not by design. I think it's an accident of design. I think it's a symptom of just the mechanics that have been put in place. But I don't know. Nikita says, sometimes you just suck and sometimes you just die, and
Well,
there's nothing you can do. And it's like Tarkov's not necessarily supposed to be like a fair game.
yeah.
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but
No, I mean,
it's like
I actually think that it is by design. Like, I think it is like it's very intentional that there's a X chance to jam. I just think that the punishment associated with that. I mean, we're kind of getting off in the weeds. I feel like, but like to at like Giga, at some point, have you shot your gun indoors?
yeah,
And it's like when you fail the RNG check, it's gonna feel really bad, right? So like, yes, it's like, oh, just have the perfect scenario to deal with this solution, but like it's just not like you just can't do that. You know what I mean? You just can't play like it's impossible to play the game. Like you have to move from point A to point B to like win the game. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. You're saying like you can't you can't like play in a way that covers off all the potential risks of all the different possible things that could go wrong. Like no, I agree. Sometimes you just get done in by it, right?
Which is why like people that want like a really consistent I think it's more of a consistency thing, like a really consistent feeling thing is like you want to be able to play at like such like you want to play at your full potential and not be like restrained by any of these like fringe weird things. You want to like the game feel very consistent because you can push it to that limit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think the game is designed to be less inconsistent. Like specifically with jams, I guess, with I mean, as we know now, I think you know this, through I think CZTL or like a friend of CZTL. I'm not too sure, but it looks like there are rolls on penetration. Like obviously the chance, but the actual like value gets rolled by like a
Oh yeah, there's a small range.
yeah. There's a
There's a
range,
pen variability for each round, which is amazing.
so it's
And
like
you can infer that actually when you do the armor testing because you don't, and different rounds have a different penetration variability, and you can see this because the armor damage formula is heavily dependent upon penetration, and the armor damage that you deal deviates in small numbers, so small quantities depending on the round. Sometimes it could be quite big swings. It could be like 13 to 17 depending on the round, and that's all because of this penetration deviation. Which
so
is like, why is that necessary?
so you could roll a high pin value. Like let's say the what is BP? Is it 46, 47?
47.
Let's say you roll 40
Right in the sweet spot as well.
Let's say you roll 49, right? But you could also, once it connects, you could also then roll, because it wasn't a 100% chance to penetrate, you could then roll a critical failure of like, let's say it's 9% to critically fail, and it wouldn't pin. So you got the good roll at the bad roll. Like, but yeah, as you said, like, why is it necessary? And it's not. I think it's by design. Like, they want it to be, you know, it's just like, you just got to go with the flow, man. Like, yeah, this is you just get random cards. You just got to pull a random card. You got a shitty hand, man. You just got to play it out, you know?
Yeah, and you've got and you got armor penetration. You've got this deviation thing. You've got fragmentation. You've got
yeah, fragmentation. God,
it's like it's all these things, right? Which just
there's a chance you can break when you get shot. You could get a fracture.
Yeah,
versus you could get a bleed.
Sometimes you get a bleed. Sometimes you don't.
And it's just like it's not a consistent game, and I'm not. I mean, historically, those games aren't really for me in the past, but I mean, and I don't think it's a bad thing. It just kind of is what the game is, and that's what like kind of worries me about Arena. I feel like a lot of people got eggs in that basket, and I just don't know how that's gonna look. But that's a completely different subject. We'll see when that comes around. But
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think I agree with you. I think your argument is compelling. I think I agree. The game's designed to be inconsistent. I agree with you on that point. It's a compelling argument you make. I think you're right. So, shall we move on? To the next one. I kind of wanted to talk to you about this one.
Okay.
Next, we are talking Tarkov Tangential. We're taking a small step away into the realm of looter choppers. I don't have a good word. What rhymes with shooter? There's like with swords and stuff.
Looter.
Think of something. Looter.
Stabbers. It's got the same syllable.
I can't use loot again, even though L-U-T. It's the same word, so it just sounds weird. It would write quite well. A medieval instrument, a looter. Anyway, we're talking about Dark and Darker. So the third playtest has started as of today. And I've not played any of the playtests before. I was talking to... I do a lot of talking to chat, it turns out these days. I don't know why I reference this constantly. But talking to chat again about it, and loads of people were just like, dude, the game's really fun. Oh, you should try it out. The game's sick. I was like, oh, that's like a much stronger reception than I expected for people to have. You know, like for a lot of other games, people were like, yeah, it's okay. Like with Marauders and stuff, people are like, yeah, it's all right. It's a bit buggy. You know, it's fine. Like whatever. Like DMZ, yeah, it's okay. You know, just played a bit. Yeah, it's fun. Whatever. But like Dark and Dark, like tons of people were just like, dude, it's awesome. Like you should check it out. Like it could be really, really good. Like it's really fun already. I was like, huh, interesting. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll sign up to the doodad, and it's like, okay, download the game and play it a little bit. And dude, I probably played like an hour. I probably played like 8 raids. I did not survive a single raid. I've gone in completely blind because I find that kind of interesting sometimes. So I'm still not 100% sure how you leave. I don't really know what the mechanic is. I think there's some kind of portal that you open up. I think you have to open a portal. But I've done about 8 raids. So the first one I did, I think so. Because I kept seeing it on the sidebar. So I was just like, I guess that must be the way. I don't know. That was my assumption so far. And the very first skeleton that I found in the very first raid, it just killed me. I was like, all right, okay, these guys are not to be effed with, you know, like I'll actually like do the thing. I've never really traditionally been that good at like sword games, really. I don't know why. I'm just not really
it's
not really that good at them particularly. It's so different. And I realized that you could kind of like, rather than I just I don't really like blocking in games. I just find it really boring, and then I just got killed. I'd rather like I ended up was like, okay, I can move forwards and backwards, like I can move my body in a way that I don't get hit. Okay, this is fine. Started figuring that out, and then like I had a few different encounters, and like I killed a player once because I ambushed him while he was killing another skeleton. Like I picked up a load of stuff. I used invisibility potion. It doesn't seem to do anything. And yeah, I played like played like 8 raids, like ran through. I was like, there seems to be some kind of circle. I assume it hones in on like where you need to go, maybe, or something, or maybe it's some kind of like battle royale type thing. I'm not really sure. So this is like, but it's fun. Like trying to learn something completely from scratch, like because there's no tutorial or anything, it doesn't tell you anything, right? It just dumps you in. I was just like, EU Central, go. And after that, I was like, well, after the first raid, got nothing in my stash. After the first raid, we're just going to see whether I keep my stuff. Maybe I'll be completely naked in raid 2. So I was just like, okay, no, raid 2, I still kept the starter gear. All right, fine. That means that's like my, my default loadout that I can't ever lose. Great. And so that's my experience so far. I'm just like, I'm level 3 or 4 or something. I have absolutely no idea how you level up. I don't really know why I'm level 3. I'm not really sure what that gives me. And I've been just running around like having a crazy time, just like trying to figure stuff out on my own without looking at anything, just for the time being, because it's funny. So I wanted to speak to you about it because I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's very, very weird. And some people clearly have a very good idea. Like I ran into one person who was just like, they were just like spell donk and just killed me in like 2 hits, and I was like, hello. It was very funny, and especially the fact that you can then spectate groups of people. I thought that's kind of interesting. It's people playing like groups of 3. I kind of felt bad actually. The guy that I killed, the one dude that I killed, the one player that I killed in the sort of like 7 or 8 raids that I played, he had like 2 of those like heart soul things on, so he was like the last man of a 3-man or something. And I was just like, I just like murdered him in cold blood, right? He's like killing another skeleton, and I was just like stood over his corpse like.
You killed their hopes and dreams, not just a man.
Yeah, so like I found some shrines. I found the place where you put those things, but I was playing solo, so I was like, this is like it's pretty brutal. It's got like it looks like it's quite. I mean, it's hard, right? There's like a lot of mobs and stuff. It's difficult, and like the cooldown for opening doors is just like the absolute death knell for me. It's just like you get yourself into a situation where you just can't get out of it. But anyway, did you play the other ones?
Yeah, so I played the previous beta test, the second one, and I got addicted. I mean, funny enough, that was when that was going on. You were in the hospital, I think, and that's
maybe.
when you told me you were going to make it. So I was like, "Hey, Shouldaville, you played this game. You should come on ScavTalk. Tarkov's cold right now. This game's hot. Let's talk about this game instead." So we got to like chat about it then, which was cool. And it's so funny hearing your like, I love that you didn't spoil, you just like went in raw dog basically.
Yeah, like on my own as well, like with no one else.
Which is great, dude. Like I was like thinking, I was like, man, I could troll him so hard. I was like, portals, what are you talking about? You didn't go to the alien UFO to extract? Like, come on, like what do you you killed the skeleton?
Roadblock, wait.
You killed the skeleton? No, that was the only NPC in the game. That's so funny. But yeah, it's a fun game, man. I think it's cool that your chat was like hyped about it, because I think this game is hot. Like right now, it's a hot game. I don't know if it's gonna still be hot in the couple of, because they're supposed to release it in, is it early 2024? So they got like a whole year development ahead, but
I don't know.
I think that's the case. I can't remember.
I know borderline nothing about this game.
Well, it's based. I mean, for anyone that's listening, Dark and Darker, it's essentially D&D meets Tarkov. That's basically the premise. It's a dungeon crawler. You got your stereotypical archetypes: your rogue, your mages, your wizards, your knights, your bards, your classic stuff here, and your loot goblins as well. And you party of 3, you go in, you kill shit, you loot shit, you extract with shit, sell shit, do it again. That's like kind of the, just like Tarkov. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. It is difficult right now because they're testing level 2. So you're essentially like, imagine if like customs was like the tutorial level in Tarkov. You're essentially going to like reserve or, whatever it's like the next tier up from customs. So you're going in with like, yeah, you're going in like with like starter gear on like the gear that you should be like in the middle gear level.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So that's why like the mobs are extremely tanky. Like as soon as you get an upgraded weapon, like they'll die in like 3 hits versus 227. So it's like it's a pretty big jump.
Yeah. Even the spiders take 2 hits to kill.
Yeah, it's rough, dude, right? It's a cool game.
Did you start the playtest with the stuff you had last time?
No.
Okay, so you do have to start with the starter gear.
Yeah. And they give you nothing. I was like, dang, I can't buy anything. Like I gotta use this crap gear. So you gotta like you have to survive. Then you can finally like sell stuff and buy something. Like it's such a fun cycle. I don't know how it's gonna shake up in the long run, but like right now I think it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. You need to like absolutely Giga. I was just checking to see if Airwing is still playing it because I was like, Airwing, you need to play this game. Like we could, put some content on the channel before the wipe. Like come on, man, it's a fun game. Trust me. And it's supposedly Valiant and Jesse was telling him that too. So he was like, fine, I'll do it. And he was playing earlier and he's getting this, absolutely just like smacked down, dude. Just like, pure gamer rage. And then they did an update. And then so the servers went down. I went and got ready for ScavTalk and I just checked now and he's back on it. So I'm like, yes, he didn't give up hope. Like he's still grinding away. But you really need a 3-minute. It's really designed for 3 people to play. Because I guess they just had that in mind. They talked about maybe they'll do like solo duo queues. It's like kind of like something they talked about in some of the interviews I've seen. But it's cool because you could play a certain role. Like let's say you're the knight. You're just the guy that's just like, oh, sword and shield, come at me. And then your teammate's the healer. He's the cleric, just like praying and casting healing stuff or whatever. And then some other guy, the wizard's like casting spells and buffing you. Or maybe you got a barbarian. And it's cool. You got like these different roles you can play. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it does seem pretty cool. It's quite funny because I guess their networking is pretty basic right now. And I was just like uploading some stuff with caps in the background. And I was like, oh God, I have to like lower it because I was getting like serious rubber banding. Even when, because my internet's not amazing, but even when I was doing like, I can play Tarkov and upload stuff like it's sort of simultaneously because I'm obviously I have to do that when I'm streaming, right? So I'm like very carefully controlling like my the bandwidth usage that I'm using on the upload side at the moment because like I'm still waiting for fiber, which is like a whole nother story. But in this game, I was just like, I can't upload anything. I can't like basically use any of my connections to do anything else. I was like, there's absolutely no chance I could stream this game right now because like it just rubber bands like out of control. Even if I'm only using like half my bandwidth for uploading for some reason, I don't know why.
Yeah, this playtest in particular, they're having issues with all the servers. That wasn't the case when I played the last playtest, so it's something unique to this one, which I felt they were bending to. Yeah, it is weird.
Interesting. When I turned the uploads off. And I was playing just on my raw connection. It felt fine. As soon as I started them up again, even like as I said, even at half my speed, I was just like I could move. It was fine, but I was just getting like it was just like really juddery. It was horrible. So I was just like, okay, there's just no chance that I can play this on stream at all because like the stream like ScavTalk where most of it's stationary is half my bandwidth. Like the usual one that I do is my usual bit rate is like 80% of my bandwidth. That's like that allows me to stay within Tarkov's ping limit, right, without getting kicked out of the raid. So it's like there's no chance I'm going to play Dark on stream. There's just no way. But no, it's like it seems interesting. I was like, I got caught in like the circle as it was coming in at one point. I was just like, oh God, there's a circle in this game. Jesus, I was like, thought we'd escape battle royales. What the hell? But it kind of seemed like it was sort of pointing. This is not really a spoiler, right? Because like I played enough of the game now that I feel like I'm just going to go look it up otherwise because like. How do you leave? Like, is it in the middle? Like, because it's zoning down onto something, and there's a white circle which is just like, oh, here's the place you need to go, gamer person.
Right.
This is like intuitively, you know where you need to go because the red circle's basically saying like, don't be in here, and the white circle's saying go this way. Are there like multiple extracts, or is it just like one in the middle? Like, what's the deal?
So how it works is there's portals or scrolls or like these little things that come out of the ground, and there's a blue one, there's a red one. The blue one takes you out of the raid. the red one takes you to the next level. So you can't actually interact with your stash. Whatever you found, you got to carry it into the next level, which gets even harder. But that's how you like how it's gonna work eventually is if you want to go into a raid, whether you want to go to like use Tarkov example, labs or customs, you have to go through customs. You have to go to level 1 to level 2 to level 3 to participate and get all that good loot on the final level.
You can't just jump to level 2. You have to go through the stages using the red portal. Right. Okay.
Using the red portal. The blue portal takes you out of whatever level you're on. So they spawn. I don't know. They just like spawn randomly. Like I don't. They've changed it apparently. Like the count, how they spawn, because they used to spawn in like there'd be like a guaranteed like 3 sets of triplets blue portals and a couple of red portals, and then there's some solo blue and reds mixed around. But now it looks like there's a lot more solo portals, and I'm not sure if there's any group portals at all anymore. They might have gotten rid of that. I'm not too sure. But that's kind of the idea is like you go into the center, portals spawn closer to the center. I mean, I think they spawn like outside as well. Not outside of the ring, but like the ring's moving in and they'll spawn on the outer walls of the ring potentially. And then once you get down to that final circle, it's just like, yeah, it's like definitely something. There's, I think, just like a guarantee one portal in there. But it's interesting because they don't there's not enough portals for everyone that plays. It's like someone's going to get left behind. You know what I mean? It's like
if people don't die to other stuff, like if everybody survives. Yeah,
exactly. What's the other things to say? Yeah, that's the interesting part is I don't know if the ring mechanic's a personal thing. It's like the PUBG ring that closes in. This one, I think it's like the swarm is what they call it. And when you're in it, you take damage, yada yada. But they like it. I think it's a playtest thing because they want to like get as much data as they can on some of these like mechanics. Like how many portals do we need? This, that, and the other. So they're having like this ring to like drive players to the portals. You know what I mean? They don't want to like not get that stuff solved. So I believe that's the case. It's a temporary thing, but I kind of like the ring because it does like you can, do flanks through the ring, but it's risky. You're taking damage. Am I going to open up a room into a guy that's trying to escape? Now I got to fight him or whatever. I kind of dig it. But.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool. I mean, because that was also a thing back in like the PUBG days where it was just like, do I take damage through the ring? Do I have some sustain like to do a flank where people aren't expecting and like that kind of stuff? So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I never really made it into the center enough. I just got like I either got like pushed really down too quickly because I had to because I couldn't kill the mobs fast enough as a solo because as you were saying, well, I'm using Starter I'm on my own, and I was just like, man, this game's really really tough, and it kind of appeals to me a little bit more because I was like, okay, this is like really inaccessible, which is kind of cool because I quite like that in some ways. I'm just like finding random items and I don't know what they do. There's no tutorial at all. Like I've just died like 5 times in a row. I did remember what my point was before, by the way. From ages ago, and this reminded me because it reminds me of playing. I think maybe like ages ago I might have mentioned it, but there was a game on my phone, Pixel Dungeon, and it's like a roguelike kind of game.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
It's like really tough and like very RNG based, and like I've won it like a couple of times, but it's really really hard, and that kind of feels the same, right? You slowly run into lots of different situations and you figure out what to do. It kind of reminds me of like a lot of roguelike games. I'm like going in with like something very basic, then I have to go through and it feels more roguelike than Tarkov does. But this was my original point. The Zero to Hero has basically turned Tarkov into a roguelike game, which I actually really like. And I love roguelike games like Fast and Light and all those kind of things. And like Slay the Spire is kind of like, of a type.
So when you extract, do you keep your stuff from Zero Hero?
No,
or
I get rid of it all.
So you just do, it's as if as you failed the run. I get you. It's just the individual run to run.
Yes, it's just like, did you win? Yeah. Yes, no, because that's exactly how it is in like other roguelikes, right? It's just like you play, and it's funny because like again, I might have made this analogy before, but battle royales they're very roguelike in nature as well.
Yeah,
because you start with nothing and you go through, then you see, did you win? Did you not? No. Okay, well, did you go right back to the beginning? Here we go, off we go. So that sort of replayability kind of appeals to me in general. That was a Zero to Hero point that I was going to make before, but anyway, Dark and Darker feels like that to me because of this. you're just seeing random stuff, random items, different enemies, like trying to figure out how to beat them. Like you slowly build up your confidence, whatever. But yeah, for me, the issue was, as I said, I couldn't defeat them fast enough. So then the ring was like upon me, and then I just ended up getting like forced through the map, through like way more enemies than I could kill.
Yeah.
And I'm just like desperately trying to open doors before I die, you know. And I'm just like, I eventually just get like bit on the heel by like a little spider when I'm on like no health and I die. I'm just like, oh no. So yeah, it's pretty rough. It's good to know that. I was like, yeah, these games where they get played in threes, like they're often really rough for solo players. And in some ways, I'm kind of just like, oh, it's sort of a shame that there's, I guess less so if you're having to go through multiple levels, but I'm like, it's sort of a shame that you've got a respawn mechanic in there again, because that's kind of what makes DMZ so hard for solos. Like you don't have any respawn mechanic if you're on your own, but you do if you're in a squad. And like, it's that those things start to like pitch the battle against. It's unfortunate that playing solo is so asymmetric. You should almost get like a load of buffs or something.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. Well, I think the hope is, and I think DMZ, that's like kind of the cool thing about it. I mean, it's kind of a good and bad thing in my opinion, but whatever. If the game is going to be built around you playing in a group of people, then having options to team up with people is like kind of a bonus. Like it feels really good because then you can take a bunch of individuals and now they can become a group via, in the game live happening. So I think if they do stuff like that, like you could, hey, you want to team up? Like, sure. And then it's like, boom, you're now a party. You're, because you could still do friendly fire when you're on a team. Which is, God, there's some funny
shenanigans.
Dude, yeah, it's so funny. Like, don't worry, I got him. Fire magic ball, and then it kills your teammate. Like, no, you stepped in front of my magic ball. This is great.
Yeah, it just kind of feels a bit more fun than DMZ to me in that sense. I don't know. It feels like there's more on the line. There's like more risk.
Yeah, I think that's DMZ's biggest fault. It's just like, God, there's like nothing on the line. Like, oh no, I lost a kit. Guess I'll go back in and get another. Like, I just like, I don't know. I hate that you can't like. Anyways, I don't want to talk about DMZ because I think it's so dead. It's.
But yeah, it's cool. It's got something that I think is missing from some of the others, which is neat. And I'm not a serial player of like other games really, so I didn't play Marauders and stuff. But this seems more polished. I think the animations are janky or whatever, but like the game seems to function. So I
think it's got a lot of potential.
Good.
A lot of potential. Cool.
Yeah. They just need to make the combat a bit more like Mordhau now, it's like the sword plays. You can like block different angles, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Because it is we were talking about that. I kind of like that it's simple because I feel like Mordhau's skill gap is like so high. And as you say, going from like a shooter to like a first person whacker. It's just,
I'm bad, right?
Yeah, no, I'm bad too. Like it's hard. And I don't know how to describe it. Like just wait till you probably experienced it. Like when you're up in someone's face and you got like a poking weapon, specifically like a dagger, and you're trying to like poke their face, but you're moving, they're just like swinging their giant mace down, and you're just like trying to dodge the mace. Like it's so different than the shooting stuff. It's just weird.
What's kind of cool though in some ways about this would be like, okay, well maybe you've got your like super skilled swordsman, but like you don't have to do that, right? You can be like a ranger, you can be a wizard, So if you're just like if you're just kind of a slightly mal-coordinated FPS player, then you can play like you can just be
easy
Harry
mode
Potter,
to Ranger. Yeah, no. Ranger is pretty OP last playthrough. I don't know how it is this one. They've made adjustments.
I got shot in the head by like a flaming arrow, like literally straight out to the very first door, and I was like, "This isn't fair. What the hell?" There was like 4 mobs like right outside the first door. 2 of them like archers with flaming arrows with helmets on, and I was just like, "No, this is so brutal." But I kind of love it. But this is so brutal. Yeah, it was interesting.
No, but if you're listening and you're interested in Dark and Dark, you should give it a try. There's some really Pestilly put up a interview not too long ago with one of the devs. They're really cool. They're like basically, they've been working in the industry for a while, but they didn't like where the industry was going with like a lot of the trends. So they're like, hey, let's do our own thing. And they kind of just like quit their jobs, took loans from friends and family, this and the other. They got like no like outside investment influence. Like it's all like,
that's cool.
Yeah. So it seems like very like homegrown, grassroots, you know, made for gamers by gamers type of thing.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I like that philosophy. Okay, well, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. It might be pretty fun. Maybe I'll see if people are playing or something, and like maybe group up with some guys offline or whatever. Because, like as I said, I can't stream this game until they make the networking a bit more robust. Like, there's just no way. My
Yeah.
connection is not. I don't have enough bandwidth, and I don't have enough leeway to tweak it to make it make sense. It'll just look like, you know, a Nokia phone on people's screens, or my game won't work. And it's like both options are not
Yeah.
not good. I mean, there's a completely unrelated, but sort of semi-related note. They're like there are people at the end of my road, dude. They're laying stuff in the floor. It's happening. I don't know when it's happening.
That's cool. That's
There's
exciting.
people there. And the cables are going in, but yeah, it could still be like a couple of months or whatever. But like things are actually happening, so I'm excited. But just got to wait through Christmas, I guess. So I'm hoping in the first quarter next year. That'd be awesome if that's the case. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Cool.
Yeah, we ran out of time for the other like random topics.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna share like a random anecdote then from just like my
Sure.
life. God, it has been so cold in the UK recently. I don't know whether you've seen all the posts of like people complaining and stuff, but like, you know, we're not used to weather outside of like 15 degrees C and overcast. So because that's what would that be? That would be 59 Fahrenheit. So yeah, so basically 60 Fahrenheit with like just completely clouded cover in the sky. That's the perfect UK temperature. You know, you get up, you go too far either way, everything just starts failing, like both sides. Like you get anywhere near zero and everything just starts falling apart. And you get anywhere, you know, too high where it's like it's been sunny for like maybe 3 days in a row and everything just starts falling apart. It's like it's really funny. We're like because the weather's so random, we're just completely unable to deal with it. But anyway, so I woke up this morning. It was my phone was registering -8. Again, like I'll have to do the translation. So that's 17 Fahrenheit. I was like, man, that's pretty cold for the UK actually. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think like different sources are more or less reliable. I think the reliable source was saying like 23, but I'm like, that's still pretty damn chilly. So we wake up this morning. My wife has a shower. Like I have a shower. Like we're taking in turns looking after the little ones. And like right at the end of my shower, I'm just like down. Like the whole water's like kind of running out. I was like, that's really weird. Like it shouldn't do that when there's just two of us. I'm like, this is strange. I, like go to look at like the because we've got the Nest in our house, like for controlling the thermostat. So like look at the Nest thing. It's just like it's set to the regular temperature, and it's like 1.5 degrees underneath that. And I'm like, it's like it says it's heating, but like it's not doing anything. I was like, oh dear. I'm like, right. I said to the wife, I'm just like, I'm gonna go and check the boilers. Like wander through to the garage. Just like error code 227. I'm just like, you have to be kidding me. Like, honestly, what the hell? So I'm just like, reading the booklet. It's just like, it could be all these things. It could be this misfitted this and that and the other. And I'm just like, crap. So I like reset this thing a few times. It's just like, okay, this isn't working. And like, we actually have a really new boiler because we had it installed in the summer. You know, we were like having all this work done in the house. That was part of it. And so I was like, damn, this thing's like brand new. It's ridiculous. So I like call up the plumbing people, and they're just like, we're actually seeing this all the time from lots of people. It may well be your like condenser pipe that's frozen on the outside. It's like where the wastewater ends up going outside of the boiler. So I'm just like, he's like, okay, look, just boil the kettle, like pour it over the pipe, like see if you can like unfreeze or whatever. Like if it doesn't work, then like call us back and maybe we'll come out. So like there I am in like minus freaking like ridiculous degrees with it boiling like a huge like puffer coat, like pouring like boiling water over this like black pipe. I've got an extension flex plugged in 2 times out of my garage with a hairdryer, and I'm like hair drying a pipe on the outside of my house. I'm just like, what the hell? Like, how's life come to this? There's like huge chunks of ice like coming out of the pipe. I'm like, what is going on here? So that's basically how I spent like 45 minutes of my day today. It was just like it was ridiculous, and then like went back in after like the 20th iteration of doing this, and it's just like like everything came back up. I was just like, oh my god, thank god it's working now. I was just like actually got heating in the house. I was like, I do not want the heating to break down and like -5 because that is it's honestly miserable. I was like every half hour I wait, like it's getting like I can see it ticking down on the thing. It's just like tick 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 because the differential is like so high. It's just like we're just getting destroyed. But now my hands are just like completely busted. Like I didn't really have like proper gloves. Like all my knuckles have like split. It was like so cold, and I was outside for so long. Oh my god!
Yeah.
So that was a crisis averted. That's crisis averted. I've had a boiler break down on me before, and fortunately, where I used to live, we actually had like a real fire. We would just like huddle up in one room and had like wood on the fire. Just like it was like the medieval times. Like Jesus, I did not want to repeat that because it was actually colder now than it was then, and we've got the little ones now. So I was like, no, that's just not good. That's not good. But yeah, crisis averted. Thank God.
One winter, I was staying with a family who they did not. They were very almost too like cost efficient on their heating and cooling. So like the summer wasn't that bad because they had like AC units in the windows.
Okay.
They didn't use like the house AC because it used a lot more energy, so they only used like the individual units when they needed it.
Right.
Occasionally they would use the house AC, but in the winter it was just like, yeah, it's freaking cold. Just wear a jacket, right? That was kind of the thing. And dude, I remember one time it was so cold, Giga. I was like hoodie, sweater, jacket, pants, shorts underneath, like on in my bed, like blanket wrapped up, and like laptop inside the blanket, just like watching YouTube, trying to get through the cold because it was just like a really cold winter, and it was so miserable.
It's just like loading Lighthouse to like put loads of extra strain on the computer. It's just like you got to run a stress test in the background just to kick out more heat.
Dude, it was so cold. I was just like, oh my god, dude, this is miserable. But
oh man,
yeah, winter,
crazy times.
Winter sucks.
Crazy times. Yeah, it's been unseasonably cold. It's actually going to get a bit better for us, but we basically just had a week of like really frigid temperatures. And people laugh at us because it's not even like that cold. It's not like it gets in Canada or whatever. But like UK cold is weird because it's like really humid. Like lots of people have said this. Like you come to UK, it's like humid cold. It's like wet. So everything's just wet because everything's around like 0 degrees the whole time. So like it's not like if it's like -20, like yeah, it sucks, right? It's like it's really cold, but everything is just like completely frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the UK, everything's just like it just like shimmers around 0. So it's like it's -5 in the night, then it goes to +2 in the day, and then it goes back to, and then it rains a bit, and then it goes to like, and then there's like a mist in the air. You walk outside, and it all sticks to you, and then it all evaporates off, and it's like it's miserable. It's like a cold that gets into your bones. It's horrible, really bad when it gets like this. So we're going back to something normal, I think, soon. But oh dear me, yeah, I would rather have not spent my morning that way this morning. But at least we actually have a working boiler within like 2 hours or something. It wasn't that bad in the end.
So I have a couple of things before we wrap it up. For those of you that are listening / watching till the very end, shout out to the 20% of you according to YouTube analytics. Logical Solutions has released a post. Giga, I sent it to you with the, apparently his sources say that there's no confirmation of wipe at this time, but multiple sources have leaked to TarkovChanges.com that a pre-wipe event is coming on Saturday, December 17th, 2022. They will update this page because they have some real information. Dun, dun, dun.
That is fascinating. What does it say on Tarkov Changes?
That's what I just read. That's what it says.
Oh, I see. That's what it says.
Yeah, that's what it says. But soon.
Okay, so we could see something tomorrow of some kind.
See something. It seems like we might see something tomorrow, which if it is something and it is pre-wipe, then that puts wipe on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week, presumably. Maybe not. Who knows?
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see.
Tuesday's in play, the 20th. I'm telling you, boys. I'm telling you. I think last time I was one day out on Tarkov Reporters thing. It looked like it was going to be the day, and then I think it was the day after something. So, I'm not doing too badly, so we'll see. If I'm a day out or something again, then
I'm still holding hope for January 8th, Copium.
Love it. Love it.
All right.
Ooh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that about covers it.
Think so. All right, guys. we'll wrap it up here. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in, especially you 20%ers that are still listening. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Catch you later.